Hello, and welcome back to another IB Math Speedrun with me, Vince. So we're going to be finishing off our exploration of derivatives in graphical calculus, so let's jump right in. So the last two things we need to know are how to sketch a derivative of a function from its graph, and how to sketch the original graph from its derivative. And there's no real way to do that other than looking at some questions. So this question asks us, it gives us a graph over here of a function. It was a very badly drawn version. So I cannot draw. This is why I took math and not art. Anyways, as you can see, this is a function, and we have a minimum here and a maximum here. So, what does the derivative look like? Well, we need to remember that the minimum and maximums of this function will be at the zeros of the derivative, since the value of the derivative will be 0 at these points. When a function is sloping upwards, such as here, then the derivative will be positive, otherwise it will be negative. So in this case, the derivative will look something like this. Just a very rough sketch. Okay, now that we have this derivative, we need to sketch the second derivative, and the same rules apply. The maximum of the derivative will be the 0 of the second derivative. When the derivative is a positive gradient, which is before the maximum in this case, the second derivative will be positive, and otherwise it will be negative. So the second derivative would look something like this. So yeah, that was one question, and there's only one more question here, very short section, so let's jump right into it. So our second graph looks something like this. We have, starts off there, goes under, and then, starts up there, goes under, and then that. Something like that. So again, we have identified 3 turning points, and so these will all be zeros on the graph of the derivative. In between these 2 turning points, the gradient is negative, so we will have to expand this to draw a negative gradient. In between these 2, it's positive, and in between the last 2, it will be negative, so drop down there. Here we're coming from a positive gradient actually, so this will keep on going up. Now to sketch the second derivative, so we have these 2 points over here as the minimum and maximum, which will be zeros on the graph of the second derivative. In between these 2 points, the gradient is positive. Past this point, the gradient is negative. And below this point, the gradient is negative. So it will look something like that. So yeah, that was pretty much it, honestly. That's how you graph. Just sketch. These don't have to be exact unless you maybe have a graphical calculator. But you need to know how to sketch these graphs. So yeah, that's it. And I hope to see you in the final speedrun.